Hello, Awakeness. How are you? Well, actually, I already know how you are because you're doing fine over here, and we are the same thing, meaning that you're doing fine regardless of the unit's circumstances. And if the unit is in great circumstances, great. And if it's in poor circumstances from a relativityness standpoint, well, great, because you're learning something from that. Because this moment is our guru, it's always offering us whatever it is that we need at this moment to be as alert as we possibly can. And sometimes that's pleasure, sometimes it's suffering, sometimes it's just all that stuff in between the two. But the biggest thing it is really is we just want to notice that where we really live is in this great okayness. And because everything is all right here, right? I mean, I'm not saying that I'm applauding everything. I'm not saying I approve of everything. But if I do, I'll have a more pleasant experience from a localized view. And it's happening anyway. So I wonder what benefit there is in my arguing with the universe. Because it shouldn't be like this. It shouldn't be like what? It shouldn't be like Special Fred doesn't. It isn't like Special Fred likes it to be, and therefore it is wrong. It's wrong. I tell you, it's just wrong. So I wanted to talk to you about what they don't teach you. And before we get started into that, we need to look at who they are. And I just want to make it perfectly clear that I am not calling anybody out. I am not referring to any teacher or teaching in specifically, and it can be non-dual. It can be dualistic. It can be from any of the traditions, great traditions, or some of the not great traditions. One way or the other, what I recognize is that every teaching is going along just as it should be, and that we need it to be exactly this way. And the way that we check that is we just notice that that's the way this is, and that's the only way it can be. This moment actually is the flowering of the inevitable. There is only this suchness, as Buddha would say. There's only the suchness of this moment, which means the inevitability of this moment. It can't be any other way. But you'll hear some of that. So that's not necessarily what they don't teach you, although if you haven't heard it, then let it be good news. But what I want you to know is that most teachings will be trying to wake you up. And I'll use those terms, but that's not what I'm doing. This teaching is not trying to do anything. And I believe that most teachings are trying to do something. And I believe in most teachings, I think you typically have the enlightened wonder unit up on the dais or the stage. And then you and me and the rest of the knuckleheads, we're just out here in our chairs and we're looking up at the stage or the dais and we're going, my God, 150 pounds of enlightened meat. I can't believe it. Look at that. Wow. Can't wait till my meat wakes up. And maybe they'll let me on the stage then. So it's not the meat that wakes up. It's not the body. The body does not have the ability to wake up. The body is an animated cadaver, and what you are is the animation. We can't say that you're not the cadaver because there's not anything other than you, but you are in no way, shape, or form limited to this or any group, no matter how large. You're not limited to anything. There are no rules for you. They don't teach you that very often, do they? I mean, don't they really teach us what we're supposed to do? I mean, aren't we? We're supposed to meditate. We're supposed to do some special inquiry, lots of it. We want to pray. We want to make sure we're praying to the right one, and we want to sing, praise, right, and dance, praise. and we want to bow, and we want to namaste, and we want to just, we're supposed to do everything. And it's just a hell of a job. I mean, I don't know about you, but I'm busy being Fred over here. And I'm not really, because there's no I. When I refer to I can't find an I. Just so we're clear on that. I can find no I. And I cannot even state I am. I can state that I probably am, but I can't state that I am, because it's just out of my, I possibly am, but it's just out of my pay grade. I don't know these things. We got so many knowers and not so many unknowers. And I'm not trying to teach you what to do. I'm trying to teach you what not to do. And this doesn't mean that you're not supposed to drink or smoke or have sex or eat meat or whatever it is that you do that is your private love and your private hell. That's okay with me. It actually doesn't have anything to do with this. Now, it may be there may be action in the world that takes place as a result of awakening, but there's not anybody over there who's going to improve. Behavior may improve and it may not. At least certainly there's a delay on that. I can guarantee it. Because when you wake up, those of you who have already woken up, I bet can identify with this, which is the sense that I realized, my God, I'm inhabiting a maniac. So the maniac thinks it knows how things are supposed to be going, and it is maniacking its way into getting its way, into making all of that happen. I'm gonna get this thing if it kills me. And actually, if you get this thing, it will kill that one, but probably not for long. You will be haunted by the ghost of whatever your character's name is for as long as there is a body. Less and less frequently, less and less believably. I notice that Fredness still abounds. There's still crazy thoughts over here. I don't pay any attention to them. I don't believe them. I don't subscribe to them. And I don't suffer from them. Because I don't suffer from thoughts that arise. Thoughts just always are arising. That's what thoughts do. But I don't believe them. I don't actually put a lot of stock in the thoughts that come up here, because what I notice, and you can check it for yourself, no thought is true. Because the first believed thought is what? It's the fact that I believe that I'm a Fred instead of awakeness. And I am the verb of awakeness. I'm not the noun of Fredness. Right? The Fredness, which means patterns, the patterns here that you have been trained to call Fredness. I'm sorry about that, but it's what everybody else is doing. So I trained you to call this thing Fred or Fredness. But there's nothing actually here. There's no one home in the middle. See, there's no center here, although it feels like it. And when it feels like there's a center here, you know what else it feels like? It feels like this center is in control, and it's not. And what I want you to know, rather than you're having to struggle to try to reach awakeness, I just want you to notice that you are already awakeness. See, it's not a matter of you're already awake. You're already awakeness. You see, awake and not awake, what's that pointing to? It's pointing to a unit. So it means they're pointers. They're considered to be helpful, but let's just notice they're pointing in the wrong direction. And when I go to the teacher and I'm saying, man, I really want to wake up, I know I'm close. I'm this close. I've just been right on the edge, and I've been right on that edge now for 25 years. You sure you're on the edge? It sounds to me like you're up against the wall. And if you've been following that path for 25 years, it's not a path. It's just not a path. It's a dead end. So notice that you're already awakeness. You don't need to do anything to be awakeness. You can't not be awakeness. Now, this is not a guarantee that you're going to be consciously awakeness. Conscious awakeness is when you know that you are awakeness, when it's the aware of being aware. But what you really are is actually even beyond that. See, we can't even really get there, can we? But we can't quite get there. But what you are is even beyond that. What you are is absolutely untouchable, unreachable, indescribable. There, you can absolutely state that it feels like you are. That I can report. It feels like I am. What I mean by that, it feels like am. Feels like there's something. Okay. It feels like that very much, but it's simply not true. The way something feels and the truth of something are quite different. If I go to the dentist, it feels like that guy is or woman is absolutely just tearing my mouth apart, and that this is somebody that's evil and should be punished accordingly and all of that. But in truth, that's just what it feels like. In truth, what I've got is a medical angel who was coming in there to fix the toothache that I've been griping about. See, but I don't, but I've been griping about the malady, but I don't want to take the cure. And isn't that the way of all of it for all of us? Is that I just want to bitch about the malady, but don't want to take the cure. And the cure is not curing Fred of Fred's conditions, amazingly enough, because there's no Fred. And but this character-ness here, these patterns here, and the thing that thinks there seems to be a thing that we think into a center, and it believes that it is the central feature of the whole universe, and it feels like things should be going its way. And that's how it feels, but that's not how it is. So now I don't mean that you have to accept everything just as it is. I mean, your alternative is to suffer, and you're welcome to do that as long as you want to. You can suffer, you can be right as long as you're willing to suffer for it. And you can be a victim as long as you're willing to suffer for it. But I'm right and I'm a victim. It's two sides of the same coin. And that is the most common position that I find people to be in who really, really struggle to reach conscious awakeness or who just never get there. Right. And when I say they never get there, they started out there. But from a finite position, so-called finite position, it doesn't mean that just because I am awakeness that I am aware of it. And see, the weird thing is that the condition of being awakeness and not knowing it is exactly the same experience as not being awake. See, because only when awakeness recognizes, hell, I'm awakeness. That's when things really start to change. When the people come to me all day and they know these are smart people, they're well schooled in non-duality, and they know for a fact that there's no Bob before they ever get to me. But when Bob knows that's what they don't get, is that it's Bob that knows there's no Bob. And I help them see that. And once awakeness has seen that there's no Bob, and awakeness has seen that there's no problem, and awakeness has seen that this is as it is, everything is different. Everything changes. Everything rises to meet the view. So if I'm viewing this from Bobness, it's just going to be a mess, because that's just how Bobnesses view things. Because Bobness knows it's the center of the universe and everything should be going its way. But from the awakened view, from what we could call the God's eye view or the universe's eye view, then there's no mess. There's no problem. See, no Fred, no problem. And no problem, we'll have a hell of a time locating a Fred. There just isn't such a thing. Always perfect, always perfecting. I want you to get this straight. Everything is as it is. There's no arguing it. And everything must be as it is. It's the flowering of the inevitable. However, what we can notice is that this is absolutely perfect. This moment, this arising, this moment, this sense of things is absolutely perfect. I mean, this is like from an awakened view. The units are not going to get this view. Units are always going to find fault. But from a awakeness point of view, this is all perfect. And I'll just move this over there, please. And I'll just take this and I'll put it over there. Now, look at this. It was already perfect, and now it's perfect again. It's perfect still. It's always perfect, but it's always perfect, always perfecting. These units, quit trying to think you're in non-duality and thinking, well, there's nobody here that can do what? Well, there isn't anybody there. So give up on the idea that you're making the wrong moves non-dually. You can't. You're making the only moves that you can because you're not living, you're being lived, right? So you think you are the subject of all of this, but in truth, the unit is the object. It's just another object in the world. You are the subject, but the unit is an object. It's just like another object. It's no more alive than this Buddha statue. Probably a good deal less. But this one over here is not going to raise its hand and say, teacher, teacher, I've achieved enlightenment, please. No. What they don't teach you is that you don't need to do anything. You need to undo stuff. You need to undo what you think you know. Your core assumption, who and what you believe yourself to be. If you're not awake at this moment, awakeness, presently, consciously, then you're wrong. I don't care who you are or where you are, you're wrong. That thinking that you've got up there that you know, and then you're thinking, I know what you're thinking, is that, oh yeah, I understand. You know, everybody else is wrong. He's not talking about me, but I am talking about you. I'm talking especially about you. Because I'm always been the exception to every rule. Isn't that the way of it for characters? And the rule is a fool, and I am the exception, and I'm nobody's fool. I am everybody's fool. I don't know a damn thing. That's the truth. And for all I can tell, this is okay. I'm not educated enough to fight with this. You're not here in this teaching. You don't come to this teaching to learn. You've already done plenty of that. You come to this teaching to unlearn. You want to come to unlearn virtually everything that you think you believe, because you won't hear this elsewhere. That's what Nisargadatta used to say, and I'm just going to repeat it. This is not what everybody else is doing. This teaching is not. This teaching is unique. I'm not saying it's special in the sense that it's the way that I've got a meeting in 5 minutes, so that's just the reminder. See, it didn't disturb us though, because that's just part of the scene. That's part of the arising. That's part of what's happening. It's, as a matter of fact, we're kind of interrupting that alarm with our conversation. That alarm's kind of put upon right now. You don't have to get this right. You can't get it wrong. But you can't help it along either. But you can't make a decision not to try to help it along either. You're just lost. Just notice that you don't actually know what you are. There's a sense that you are here, but you can't tell me what you are with language. I guarantee it. If you can tell me what you are, I will tell you once again, you're wrong. You're wrong. You're wrong. So I got to wind it down because I've got a session coming up. But I don't really feel like winding it it down, but I'm going to have to. Maybe I'll cut another video later today or tomorrow, something like that. Because that video guy's in the house. You got to take advantage of that, right? I just have to go ahead and just ring him out for all he's worth. Because a lot of times he's not here, right? I want to cut a video. I'll sit down, tell Betsy I'm going to cut a video, and I sit down and nothing happens, right? You move the mic around and you do this and you jiggle and you take a drink and do all this stuff. He's not in the house. Because this is not a Fred Davis talking to you. This is not. This is awakeness talking to itself. That's the most important message that I have to offer you here. Is that this is awakeness talking to itself. And let me just tell you, don't take yourself so damn seriously, okay? I'm trying to introduce you to the cosmic joke. And you want to strain and stress your way there, and it ain't going to happen. It ain't going to happen. Okay, I really got to run. I'll see you again soon. I love you. Bye-bye for now.